So this is our review over Manifest Destiny and Westward Expansion. There's some key points here that you will likely see on a STAAR test or something like that. But these are also kind of some of the key points just to help us remember what was really essential and the big ideas here with Manifest Destiny. So first off, let's start and let's kind of just talk about what Manifest Destiny is. So when we hear that, the basic idea we think about is this idea of expanding across the nation. So that we've got, if you look at this map here, we've got the United States starts off here in the early days or when they're colonies, and then grows to all this territory at the end of the American Revolution. Gained this huge territory in white during in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase. Gained Texas. Gained the Mexican Cession shortly after that, and the Oregon Territory all around those right in the all in the 1840s there. And so that's the idea of moving. But Manifest Destiny is not just that we move out there; it's like that America is going to spread its ideas of democracy. It's going to spread its culture. And this idea is that these are things that are a benefit. Our system of government is a great system of government, and this is the way the people at this time are thinking. Our way of our economy is a good economy. Our just the way we approach things is a good approach and leads to good things. And so we're going to move out west, and we're going to do all these things. We're going to bring these benefits with us, kind of tame the wild, and so that is kind of the idea. Now, what drives that people moving out there? Well, it's pretty much always it's idea of, hey, there's a opportunity. There's main one is economic opportunities. Some way that we can make money out there, out west. There's something about that place that's going to offer an opportunity for making more money than the way I am living right now. All right, so that's kind of the ideas of Manifest Destiny. Early acquisition. So here, I just talked about that. We get Louisiana Purchase in 1803 from France for $15 million. Florida from the Adams-Onis Treaty for $5 million from Spain. Now, Oregon Territory. When we talk about the Oregon Territory, people are moving out there. This is the result of a treaty. So both the United States and Great Britain claimed this territory right here in the Northwest United States. Eventually, they make a treaty where they just basically draw that line right across the same line at the 49th parallel, and above that is Great Britain, below is the United States. Lots of people moving out to the Oregon Territory, made famous on this famous Oregon Trail that they take. All right, let's see. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on the Texas Revolution or anything like that, but the annexation of Texas is a big deal. So Texas gains independence and does not right away become part of the United States, actually its own nation for about 10 years. And during that time, but at the end of that time, is annexed by the United States. Well, Mexico is offended by that and does not acknowledge Texas as an independent nation, and so they're basically the United States in Mexico's mind is annexing part of Mexico, and so this leads to conflict. So the annexation of Texas leads to the U.S.-Mexican War. Now, sometimes you will hear people call it the Mexican-American War. On the STAAR test, they usually refer to it as the U.S.-Mexican War. It's the same war that we're talking about. It's caused by this different opinion about Texas and their border. It's a border dispute between the United States and Mexico over the border of Texas. And that's what ultimately leads to war. That is often a question on the STAAR test when they ask you about, if they ask you about the U.S.-Mexican War or the Mexican-American War, it's that border dispute issue and how it leads to that war. Now, another big thing they will ask you about is the results of that. So they're fighting over this border dispute area. The results of the war is that the United States gains all of this territory known as the Mexican Cession. And it is very common for that to question about that Mexican Cession, that's a result of the Mexican-American War. So the Mexican-American War is kind of central here. You need to know the cause is the border dispute of Texas. You need to know that the results are the Mexican cession and that the United States wins. And so those are the two big things that might be asked on the test about the Mexican cession or about just the Mexican American War, either cause or ultimately the impact or the effect. And then the last big thing that you might be asked about is this California gold rush. So during this time, we see lots and lots of people moving to California. We see people moving out to California from the east, but we also see people, immigrants from China, moving to California. And one of the things that you recognize, though, while there was a lot of gold discovered, most people that go out there do not discover gold and don't make it rich. If they do make money, it's actually by coming up with some other business where they are selling things and supplies to California. So California is part of the Mexican cession, and gold is discovered right away, almost immediately, and people start moving out there really quick. So California, even though it wasn't even part of the United States, goes from not part of the United States to part of the Mexican cession to a state, all in just a matter of time. Now, one last thing that I want to make sure you understand is James K. Polk is also really tightly aligned with this idea of manifest destiny and westward expansion. So if you see something about James K. Polk, you see something about westward expansion, they go together. He was a big believer in manifest destiny and moving out west and expanding American territory. And he saw that happen under his presidency. A lot of these things actually happen. And so that is our review. Make sure I'm not missing any of the big things. Of course, this isn't tested very often at all. I think one time in the last 6 or 7 years, but certainly the Mormons move out to Utah. Joseph Smith was started this religious group, but Brigham Young is the one that takes and leads the Mormons to Utah. All right, so that is your review over westward expansion and manifest destiny.